All right. So we'll have a quick review from where we left off in the last class. Open if Bhagavad Gita. You can do that too in the meantime. We did 636 in our last class, the last verse, and then today we'll begin with 337, where Arjun has another question. But before that, a quick recap. Just give me 1 second. All right. Right. The chapter is entitled Dhyan Yoga. And let's look at what we did in our last class. We discussed the progressive levels of realization. 6.28, Krishna speaks about which realization. You have a clue, just like the sun, there is the sun planet, there's the surface, then there are the rays. So Krishna spoke about, in this example, like the rays, which realization was it? 628. Okay. Who
Brahmajyoti.
remember? Go ahead.
Brahmajyoti realization.
Yeah, Brahman realization. Very nice. 629, the surface,
Paramatma realization.
Paramatma realization, and then the sun
Bhagavan
is like
Bhagwan.
Bhagwan realization. So 6.28, 29, 30, these are the progressive levels of realization. And 6.30 was the one that we're trying to memorize also. We can recite once more. Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam chamai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sacha me na pranashyati. Beautiful verse where Krishna says, for one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I'm never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. Next verse, there is an absolute truth pervading all beings, which is the super soul, and Krishna says, I am that. The one who sees both of them equally, such a person becomes situated in me. So what does situated in me mean? Basically, he's always thinking of me. So 6.31, remember, this is the verse where Krishna speaks about how the super soul and I am the same. There is no difference. Let's keep going. 32, oh sorry, yeah, 632. According to Krishna, highest stage of perfection for yogi, he sees equally or the equality of all beings in their happiness and distress by comparison to his own self. So one is a yogi who's lost in his inner meditation, and then there is another yogi, his inner fulfillment leads to compassion for other souls. So we also, in the 5th chapter, which was on Karma Yoga, Krishna also spoke about equality of vision. Which verse was that? Quickly, somebody, and what verse, which number and what verse? Fifth chapter, equality of vision.
518 Vidya Vinaya Sampane Brahmane Kavi Hastini Shrishchaiva Shokaschaiva Pandita Samadarshana.
Shunichaiva Shvapakecha Panditaha Samadarshina. Very nice. So equal vision of a Karma Yogi. Now, first of all, I would request everyone to turn on their videos. I cannot see most of you, so please turn on your videos. Okay. Some are I can see outside, but thank you for turning on the videos. Yeah, thank you so much. We'll speak about our exam also later in the end of the class, which is going to be after. So today we're going to finish the 6th chapter and we will begin the 7th chapter in our next class. We'll keep continuing with the 7th chapter and you have time to do your homework also in between. I'll give less, but you have to study also for the exam. So we will take it a little seriously. I was talking to recently another counterpart. He's also teaching Bhakti Shastri, and he was talking to me with his example. Last 2 years he's been teaching. So we were talking about how serious it is. I was taking it little less seriously, and this is my first time. So, but we are going to take it seriously, and we'll talk about it later. Although I'm going to make it easy, he said to me in 2 years of his, giving exams also to students, he's never made a study guide. But I'm going to make it easy for you. I will make a study guide. Actually, I'm in the process, almost done, half of it maybe. So I'll send it by tomorrow night. It is going to be easy in the sense that you have like a set of questions where you can prepare from. Doesn't mean that 1 or 2 questions will not come out of that study guide. So that will be like a bonus for those who are studying, the purports also very seriously. So you will get a little, extra credit in the sense that those questions might also come, which are not there in the study guide, but just 1 or 2, not more than that. Okay, so let's keep going. Sorry for interruption there. Perfection of Bhakti Yoga for the benefit of everyone, which is Samadhi, which we spoke about in our last class. Arjuna speaks to Krishna that the practice of Ashtanga Yoga is difficult. And he says that Dhyana Yoga, it's a difficult yoga system. And then next verse, he describes why. So he gives these 4 words in here. So let's recite this verse also because we are trying to memorize it. 6.34. Chanchalam hi manah Krishna pramati balavadridam tasyaham nigraham manne vayuriva sudushkaram. So what is the nature of the mind? Arjun gives 4 describers. Who can tell us? We just recited the verse. There were 4 describers. How is the mind so difficult to... Yes, Vishal Prabhu.
I think Arjuna said the mind is like unstable.
So we're looking for the Sanskrit words right now. You can see on the screen to fill in the blanks. Yeah.
Chanchalam, he
Manah
is
Krishna.
our first word. Chanchalam hi manah Krishna pramati balbhadram.
Mati. Balabhad.
Chanchalam Balbhadram.
And Dridam. Very nice. So these 4 describers. Thank you, Vishal Prabhu. So combination of these 4. So because mind is all these 4, it makes the mind extremely dangerous. We have our worst enemy right inside of us. In this beautiful verse from the Bhagavatam, where the Brahmana, Avanti Brahmana, he describes how the mind is the one. These people are not the cause of my happiness and unhappiness or distress. Neither are the demigods, nor my own body, nor the planets, not my past karma or time. Rather, it is my mind alone that causes happiness and distress and perpetuates the rotation of material life. Okay. Tasyaham nigraham manne vayuriva sudushkaram. Who can translate this? Therefore,
Well, Arjuna is saying that I can actually control the wind, but I cannot control the mind.
to subdue it, tasyaham nigraham manne, to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the mind. Easiest method to control the mind, Prabhupada says in the purport, is by chanting the holy names. And then he brings the same verse from the Bhagavatam, which is in the pastimes of Ambarish Maharaj, engaging mind fully in Krishna, then no more engagement to agitate the mind. So how all the limbs, mind, everything is used or engaged in the service of Krishna. Such a strong mind is supposed to be controlled by practice of yoga, but Arjun found it impractical for an ordinary person. So in the next 2 verses, Krishna gives solution for dealing with the mind. So Krishna says, let's all recite this. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Samshayam Mahabaho Manodurnigraham Chalam Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagena cha Grihyate. So Krishna gives a general solution for all parts of yoga to deal with the mind. Yes, it is difficult, but it is possible. So control it by
Abhyas and
Abhyas
Vairagya.
and
very
Vairagya.
nice. Abhyasena by practice and Vairagena by detachment.
That's
Curing the mad mind by expert treatment, hearing Krishna Katha and appropriate diet, honoring Krishna. Next verse, Krishna says he's being uncompromising, so mental control is a must for yoga. He says uncontrolled mind, it is difficult for yoga or self-realization. And then having heard from Krishna that one should endeavor to control the mind, in the practice of yoga, Arjun became inquisitive to know what happens to someone who fails to continue his endeavor in the yoga practice. So now we begin today's class. So Arjun wants to know this. Let's recite this verse, 6137. Arjuna uvacha ayatihi shraddhayopeto yogat chalati manasaha aprapya yoga samsiddhim kamgatim Krishna gacchati. Let's have somebody read the translation, please.
Arjuna said, O Krishna, what is the destination of the unsuccessful transcendentalist who in the beginning takes to the process of self-realization with faith, but who later desists due to worldly mindedness and thus does not attain perfection in mysticism?
Thank you. Okay, so let's look at the verse. Ayati Shraddha Yopeto Yoga Chalati Manasa Prapya Yoga Samsiddhim Kamgatim Krishna Gacchati. So Ayati, unsuccessful yogi or transcendentalist, Shraddhaya, with faith. So he's been following with faith. Yoga Chalati Manasa. So the process of yoga, he has been with faith. He has been engaging into it. And then what happens? Aprapya. Chalati means it. Remember we did chanchala. Chanchala is restless. But chalati is, it goes off completely, drags the person off the path of yoga completely, who leaves the path. So one is being restless, but still the person is on the path, but chalati, he is completely dragged off the path. So what happens to that person who had been engaging faithfully, but then he's completely off track? Aprapya yoga samsiddhim, doesn't attain perfection on the path of yoga. Kamgatim, Krishna. What happens? Gacchati, what is his destination of such a yogi? What is the destination of such a yogi, O Krishna? So in 2.40, who can complete this verse? Neha Bikramana. Unmute yourself.
प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते स्वल्पमप्यस्य धर्मस्य त्रायते नातो भयात्.
Amazing. Thank you so much. 2.40, where Krishna assures, right, Arjuna, that in the transcendental path, there is no loss or diminution. One doesn't lose it, nor does it get decreased. So Krishna has already answered this in the second chapter, but how does it happen? Arjuna is asking here. So Krishna will now give a systematic elaboration. So remember how Bhagavad Gita moves in a helix-like fashion. Some points are given, but then they're elaborated upon or explained more in a detailed way later on. Prabhupada says, somebody can read this. You can unmute yourself and read.
Self-realization is sought by jnana first, second, the practice of Ashtanga, or third, Bhakti Yoga. In each process, one has to realize 1. Constitutional position of the living entity, his relationship with God.
Did you mute yourself?
No, it got unmute. Okay, sorry. Second, the activities whereby he can re-establish the lost link and third, achieve the highest perfectional stage of Krishna consciousness. Following any of the above mentioned three methods, one is sure to reach the supreme goal sooner or later. Reference Bhagavad Gita 2.40 Neha Bhikramana Shosti. Best Bhakti. First, most direct method. Second, other two are difficult for this age.
Okay, well, thank you so much. So in each process, whether it's jnana, if you can mute yourselves, everyone, there is some background noise. One second. Okay, so in each process, whether it's Jnana Yoga, whether it's Ashtanga Yoga or Bhakti Yoga, Prabhupada says in each process, one has to understand his constitutional position in relationship to God, and then what are the activities whereby he can reestablish that lost connection, and then reach the highest perfection. So here is what it is. So there are three parts. Over here we see Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and in each process one has to realize his Sambandha, which is one's relationship with God, Abhideha, activities whereby one can re-establish the lost link, and then Prayojana, achieve the highest stage of love of God. And Prabhupada says it's easiest or the best process to achieve all of these three is Bhakti Yoga. So again, in any process that one chooses, one has to realize one's spirituality. You can take that. One does that by spiritual practice. One may not be able to continue. And why is he not able to continue in that process? Krishna explains in Arjuna is asking more detail in a detailed way in the next verse. One gets deviated by the mind. One becomes unsuccessful in the path of yoga. Thereafter, what is the result of such a deviation is what he's asking. So it's clear till now. We started with 6.37 where Arjun has a question. He says, O Krishna, what is the destination of unsuccessful transcendentalist who in the beginning takes to the process of self-realization with faith, but who later desists due to worldly mindedness? So his mind is the one who deviates him from the path and does not attain perfection in mysticism. So what is the destination of such a yogi? Prabhupada talks about not just the process of Dhyana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga, he brings in all three and he says we need in any process, we need these three, Sambandha, Abhideha, Prayojana, and the best process is Bhakti Yoga. This is what the purport says. So now we're going to go in a little more detail. Any process that one chooses, there has to be a spiritual awakening, his own identity. And one may not be able to continue with the spiritual practice. And why is he not able to continue? Is what Arjun now in the next verse will tell. Arjun gives an example to illustrate his question. He says, Kachinno bhaya Vibhrashtas Chinnabhram iva nashyati apratishto mahabaho vimudho brahmanapati. Somebody can read the translation quickly and mute yourself.
Almighty armed Krishna, does not such a man who is bewildered from the path of transcendence fall away from both spiritual and material success and perish like a raven cloud with no position in any sphere? Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So, Kachin is weather. Nobhaya Vibhrashtas not from both paths. One is, so from both the paths, one is deviated. Vibhrashtas is deviated from both the paths. Chinnabhram iva nashyati. So Chinnabhram is torn apart like a cloud. He's torn apart. And iva nashyati, it perishes. Nash, right? It perishes. Apratishto mahabaho. O mighty armed Krishna. Now Arjun is calling Krishna mighty armed. We've seen how Krishna calls Arjun Mahabaho. Here he's asking Krishna, O Mahabaho, apratishto, without any base or position of that yogi, vimudho brahmanapati. He says, doesn't such a yogi become bewildered from the path of transcendence? So Brahmana is transcendence and Pati, Path is path. So Vimudho, he gets bewildered from the path. So if this person is bewildered by the mind and he leaves his yoga process, does he, like a cloud, you see there are so many clouds. If you look at the sky, there's a big cloud and then there's like a lot of gush of wind also. You see how the cloud is like it becomes smaller and smaller and perishes. So he's giving that example. Like a cloud, does he not perish? Oh Krishna, what will happen to such a person? So two ways in life. One is the path of karma, which is worldly life or karmis, but it is within the dharma, right? We're not talking about karmis. We're talking about karmis. So material advancement by economic development or promotion to higher planets. This is what they want. And there is a path of moksha, which is otherworldly goal, which is for the yogis. They cease all material activities for higher purpose, or they keep engaging in those activities, but there is a sense of detachment. Whereas for the karmis, they keep doing their duties, but there is attachment. So if yogi fails, he apparently loses both ways. He neither enjoys material happiness because he has become detached, right? When a yogi starts on the spiritual path, there is detachment that comes. And there's detachment he's not enjoying in this material world. And because there is no perfection in his yoga process, nor does he enjoy spiritual success. So this is his question, what happens to such a yogi, O Krishna? So Brahmanapati, again, Brahmana is transcendental or spiritual, and Pati is the path. So the path of transcendental realization through knowing oneself to be spiritual in essence, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, who is manifested as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. To reach this goal of life through Brahman and Paramatma realization takes many, many births. So again, Prabhupada brings in how Bhakti Yoga is the best. Lord Sri Krishna is the fullest manifestation of the Supreme Absolute Truth. So one who surrendered to the Supreme Person is a successful transcendentalist. So here we see beautifully how Arjuna is asking a question, but Prabhupada is answering in the purport. He's saying, if you follow the path of Bhakti Yoga, there is going to be success. So let's keep going. This is from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Baldev Vidyabhushan, Sridhar Swami, Ramanuja, Srila Prabhupada. They all say the same thing. So we can have somebody read this. You can unmute and quickly read.
Having failed on both sides, having given up the path of karma and taken completely to the path of yoga, and having given that up also, does he not appear like a cloud which separates from the original cloud and does not become another cloud, but instead disappears in the middle of the sky? Srila Prabhupada, materialists are more interested in economic development or promotion to higher planets. He does not get Swarga by his execution of Nishkama Karma, nor does he get a vision of the Atma from perfecting yoga. Not having grasped either of these, does he perish or not? Because of not doing activities leading to Swargaloka and also not completing the practice of yoga leading to liberation, he attains neither Swarga nor liberation.
So everybody understands the question, right? The yogi has left doing his prescribed duties within the presence of Dharma, and he started seriously following a path, whether it's Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, or Bhakti Yoga. But he fell down from the process. He didn't reach perfection. What happens to that person? And he continues. एतन्मे संशयं कृष्ण चेतुम् अर्हसि अशेषतः तदन्या संशयस्यास्य चेताः न हि उपपद्यते. This is my doubt, O Krishna, and I ask you to dispel it completely. But for you, no one is found who can, once again, we cannot see who can destroy this doubt. So this is the only section in the Bhagavad Gita where there are a series of continuous questions by Arjuna together. So this is the 37, 38, 39. He's been asking the same question, elaborating. So how only Krishna can give the answer or resolve this because he's omniscient. Krishna alone knows the past, present, and future perfectly. Okay. Krishna has already cleared up the question of the future of the individual living entity. Na tve naham jatu nasam. This was second chapter again when Krishna spoke about the soul. He said, what did he say? There was never a time when these kings, you or I, were not there. And there will never be a time when we will not be there. So Krishna has spoken about the position of the soul, that it never perishes. It will always, it has always been, and it always will remain. How only Krishna can resolve the now Arjuna is asking not about how the soul might perish, like the riven cloud. Arjuna is given example, it just perishes. He's not asking whether the soul will perish because Krishna has already answered that, right? In the second chapter, it will never perish. What is Arjuna asking? He wants to know the fate of the unsuccessful transcendentalist. And how only Krishna can resolve? Because again, he can see he's omniscient. Krishna and Krishna conscious devotee alone can know what is what. Prabhupada says, no one is equal to or above Krishna, and certainly the so-called great sages and philosophers who are at the mercy of material nature cannot equal him. So this is the series of questions, longest question that Arjuna has asked Krishna in a 3-verse sequence. One may begin the process with faith, but later desist due to worldly mindedness. Analogy, does such a man perish like a riven cloud with no position in any sphere? And Arjuna expresses that only Krishna can dispel this doubt completely. Okay, so let's recite. Now, Krishna starts to answer 640. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Parthanaiveha Namutra Vinashastasya Vidyate Nahi Kalyanakrit Kashchid Durgatim Tata Gacchati. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, son of Pritha, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet with destruction either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. So beautifully, Krishna brings in the word tat. Tat means my friend. So why is Krishna bringing tat? For example, a person is very distressed, right? He's confused and he's sad. So, and he comes and asks his friend, what should I do? So what does the friend do? First of all, he will solace the friend. Oh, my friend, right? Don't be so disturbed. Like that, Krishna is doing the same thing. Even for parents, when kids are disturbed, they'll say beta or beti, right? So like that, Krishna is addressing Arjuna very intimately. Tat gachati, oh my friend. So very heart-touching assurance with the usage of an intimate form of address by Krishna, an emotional assurance before he gives a clear philosophical answer. So he says, okay, this is again, Prabhupada has brought in the verse from the Bhagavatam, Taktva Swadharmam Charanambujam Harer Bhajan Apakvo Tapate Tato Yadi Yatra Kwa Va Bhadram Abhudamushikim Ko Varta Apto Bhajatam Swadharmataha. If someone gives up all material prospects and takes complete shelter of Krishna, there is no loss or degradation in any way. On the other hand, a non-devotee may fully engage in his occupational duties and yet not gain anything. So again, Prabhupada is bringing this beautiful verse where once you've taken shelter of Krishna, there is no loss or diminution. No need to fear degradation. One has to suffer reaction for not executing prescribed duties, nor one not performing transcendental activities properly subject to these reactions. But for the unsuccessful transcendentalist, there is no loss because Krishna consciousness is never forgotten. So Kalyanakrit, Krishna says, one who is engaged in auspicious activities, activities that aim for liberation. And vice versa is inauspicious activities that cause bondage. So, and again, you remember the verse 249. Who can finish this verse? Durena yavaram karma.
And give it a try, Mataji.
Okay.
Dukena haivaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddhav sharanam anvicha kripana falahetava.
Very nice. So even within the practice of dharma, for the sake of artha and kama, means karma kand, right? Dure nahi avaram karma. Keep far distant. What? Avaram karma. Avaram karma is not vikarma. Avaram is inauspicious activity. Now that is karma kanda. If you remember from the second chapter, Krishna was referring to karma kand. Keep karma kand far distant. Why? Because it is inauspicious. It is not going to lead to liberation. It will create more bondage. So material existence itself is ultimately inauspicious. One needs to come out of material existence. It happens when one practices serious spiritual path within which bhakti is the best method. This is a beautiful video of some brahmacharis and sannyasis from Chopati who have given up their prescribed duties. If you see, like, right, they've given up their karma in this world, but they've taken shelter of Krishna completely. So there is no diminution in their path. So let's watch this video quickly, a little bit. Maharaj is also, our Guru Maharaj is also there. So a little bit we could watch. Wait. Okay, let's keep going. Sorry. Okay, now Krishna will go into specifics. So he said that for a person who does auspicious will never face anything that's inauspicious. So simply put, there's no degradation for a person who has once started the process of yoga. Now the details. Prapya punya kritam lokan ushitva shashvati samaha shuchinam shrīmatam gehe yoga bhrashto vijayate. The unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. So this is a yogi who was following the path of yoga. And then what is his destination after he leaves the body here without gaining perfection in yoga? What happens? He's sent to heavenly planets. And there he enjoys for a long, long time. And then he's brought back on earth. So prapya punya kritam lokan. Lokas, for those who have done punya, which is the heavenly planets. Ushitva shashvati samaham. They will stay there for a long, long time. Yoga bhrashto, one who has fallen from the path of self-realization, abhijayate, he takes his birth. So earth, why he takes his birth again on earth? Because earth is karma bhumi, where our destiny is shaped. Other arenas of the universe, whether one goes up in the upper planetary systems, there where he exhausts his punya, or he goes down in the planetary systems where he exhausts his papa. But then he's sent back again on earth where he can again do his karma and get the results later. So It's the karma bhumi. So why people are called Amar when they go to Amar doesn't mean that they will never die. Amar means they go to heavenly, or these are heavenly beings where the lifespan is very, very long. Martya is the earthly beings who have short lives. Amar is heavenly beings. Chiranjeev is one who lives one day or lifetime of Brahma. So very, very, very long lifetime. But still there is death which will come. And Nitya is eternal who lives in the spiritual world. So here Krishna is talking about one who goes to heavenly planets but then comes back again. If a person is desiring liberation, why would Krishna send him to heaven? So remember how the yogi started on the path of, any spiritual process, the transcendentalist. He's seeking liberation, or he's seeking going to another, other heaven, the higher planets, right? If he's a Ashtanga yogi, or he wants to go to Krishna, if he's a Bhakti yogi. So if he's desiring liberation, why would Krishna send him to heaven? Krishna says, right, Punya Loke, I send such a person there because he also has desire to enjoy heavenly pleasures, because of which he got distracted. Why does the yogi get distracted in this world? The reason is because he wants to enjoy. There's still some tendencies to enjoy. That's why he cannot follow his spiritual path with focus. That's why there's so how does Krishna give reward to such a yogi who started on the path, but still there is some sense of enjoyment, propensity to enjoy. Krishna gives him that enjoyment and then brings him back. Ultimately, we get rid of our desires. If we are seeking spiritual advancement, we can get rid of them by indulging in them, or we can understand the futility. Prabhupada used to tell that how, one of his sons he wanted to touch the fan, very small son, and Prabhupada used to say, don't do it because you're going to hurt yourself, but he didn't listen. So Prabhupada turned it off and he said, okay, now you can touch. So although the blades had, they couldn't harm the finger because they were going really slow, but still fast enough so that it hurt the child. So he quickly put his hand back. So by indulging in the, what he wanted to do, he understood the futility. No, this really hurts. So one is by indulgence, one is by understanding the futility. Even without indulging, one can understand by hearing. If a person is indulging but not doing dharma, then the anarthas simply aggregate, right? If a person is indulging in sense gratification outside the presence of dharma, right? The 4 vows that we take. Kaya Mataji just took, I wanted to announce in our class, she just got initiated, Kaya Mataji. Congratulations. And she's now Kamlavati Devi Dasi. So many
Hare
congratulations.
Congratulations, Mataji. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you so much. Hare Krishna.
Congratulations, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
I would also like to say how Momin Prabhu was also in the list, but because he's in Canada, his wife also, Dimpy Mataji, I don't see her here in the class today. So Dimpy Mataji, we also have 2 more, Yashoda Mataji and her husband. They all are in Canada, and because Maharaj is going to go to Seattle soon, and there is where he's going to give initiations to them. So Momin Prabhu also is in the list. He will be soon getting initiation. So congratulations again in advance, Momin Prabhu, to you.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
And to Dimpy Mataji. Okay, so where was I? Totally forgot. If a person is indulging in a sense gratification, but outside the presence of dharma. Yes, I remember the initiation because we take 4 vows: no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, and what was the 4th one?
No intoxication.
No intoxication. So if we indulge in these, right, for sense gratification, it is outside dharma. It is adharma. So if one person is not following dharma and keeps engaging, it simply aggregates his bondage. But while indulging within the dharmic boundaries, there is tendency to enjoy, and he's enjoying, but within dharma, right? But still, there is some higher taste. There is a taste for transcendence, and still attracted to lower taste, so much so that it makes him give up the higher taste. Then what happens to such a person is what exactly Arjun wants to know. So Krishna gives him heavenly planets after he leaves his body here, because the enjoyment over there is long lasting and the quality is also much better. So this is the result what Krishna gives, the award that Krishna gives. And heavenly planets, overall, they're dharmic. This a dharmic atmosphere. One gradually realizes the futility of heavenly enjoyment. Then when he comes back to earth, he wants to again start on the path of yoga. Baldev Vidyabhushan says this verse shows the result for the yogi who fell after practice for a very short time. So there, we'll talk about this. But a short time he practiced the process of yoga, and then he fell, meaning he was distracted. So he's allowed entrance in higher planets or the heavenly planets, place for pious people, and then he comes back to earth or the planetary system, which is the karma bhumi. I really like the picture of the person coming back on earth, right? Here is where I can enjoy again. Here is a place where I can start again on the process of yoga and then achieve perfection, not to go back to, not get diverted again and go back to heaven again, but to achieve perfection and go back to Golok Vrindavan. So Krishna says advantages for spiritual advancement, how? That either Shuchinam, he will get he will, when he's born again, he will be born in a family which is Shuchinam, which is a family of pious people, or Srimatam, which is a family of wealth. Those people have wealth. So he's given, after enjoying in the heavenly planets, when he comes back on earth, there is another advantage that he will not be born in a poor family, and we'll talk about that why. And he will not be born in a family without culture, and we'll talk about why. So Shuchinam Srimatam Gehe, in the home of pure-hearted or pious or wealthy. So two kinds of advantageous families where distractions are minimal. Shuchinam is a pure family, prevents one from getting too many misconceptions. One gets samskaras that are favorable for transcendence. Mental obstacles or conditionings are avoided that one may acquire during one's upbringing or one's cultural conceptions. So this is clear. In a family which is pious, that person takes birth again. And because it's that family is pious, he gets an advantage point where he can start his process of yoga from where he left off. Or he's born in a family of great wealth or prosperous family, which prevents one from having too many struggles. If a person is struggling too much, then that is also a distraction. There's no time enough for spiritual advancement. One gets a comfortable upbringing where the struggle to maintain the body is avoided. That can distract one or hinder one's spiritual growth. So somebody might say, wouldn't wealth also cause distraction from spiritual path? Krishna here is talking about a spiritualist who has already developed an inclination for spiritual life where the wealth will not delude or distract him, right? Any questions so far? I know this is a lot of details. Any questions? Yes, Sonia ji.
Mataji, just a little clarification on, it feels like it is a cycle where you've done something good in the previous birth, you've tried some spirituality, or you've walked on the path of being a transcendentalist, but then you failed and you come back to earth. You're either born in a wealthy family or a pious family so that you can continue on that path of spirituality. But if for some reason you can't, you're making your karmas being in a pious family or being in a wealthy family. So if you do not do your karmas in the right way, then is it like you're going to get degraded again in the next
Yes.
birth?
Yes. So even if we're born in a family, Shuchinam or Srimatam, whether it's pious family or wealthy family, the distractions are there in this world. And if he gets distracted so much so that he leaves, he does karma, then he goes downwards to hellish planets, and then comes back again after exhausting the karma over there, comes back again. Or again, he is doing his prescribed duties really nicely. So good karma he's doing, goes to heaven and then comes back. But he's given a chance to progress in his spiritual life because he's in a pious family or because he's in a wealthy family. He does remember his past, right? He doesn't lose that credit, and he's given the opportunity to further advance. And if he follows that and then advances maybe 10%, 20% more, then again, but hasn't reached perfection because still there is propensity to enjoy wealth or fame or all these things in this world, then again goes to heavenly planets where he'll enjoy for a long time, then come back on earth. Yes, this cycle will continue. That's why Prabhupada says, I'm providing a lift. You don't have to go in the building up and down to reach the top floor. Just take a lift, which is Bhakti Yoga, and reach the top. Yeah, good question. Thank you, Sonia ji. So now let's talk about this. One possibility which Krishna speaks about in 641, one practice spiritual life for some time, for little short duration, but having strong desire to enjoy this world, he's taken to heaven and then brought back, right? This is what we did just now. Another possibility is one practiced spiritual life for a substantially long time and made significant amount of advancement, but one is not able to complete the journey, not completely purified to go back to the spiritual world. What happens to such a person? And now Krishna will answer that. 642. Athava yogi nameva kule bhavati dhimatam etadhi durlabha taram loke janma yad idrisham. Krishna says, or if unsuccessful after long practice of yoga, he takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly, such a birth is rare in this world. So, one who practices for a short time, goes to heaven, comes back on earth, and is given birth in a Shuchinam or Srimatam family, right? Pious or wealthy family. Or there is a transcendentalist who, for a long, long time, many, many years, he was practicing yoga, a spiritual life, but did not attain perfection, meaning could not go back to Godhead. What happens to such a person? He is again born on earth, not in Shuchinam or Srimatam, but in a family of those Dhimatam, who are Kule Bhavati Dhimatam, who are transcendentalists. And there the chances of advancing are really, there's a surety, right? And we'll understand how. Kule Bhavati Dhimatam, look at this beautiful couple, both are devotees, right? Their wedding is performed in a Vaishnav way. They are, both are chanting and doing everything what a bhakti yogi does. And then when there is a time for taking, conceiving, they go through the samskaras, particularly Garbha Samskar, where the child is conceived with the pure consciousness. There are certain things they do, and assuring that the child who's conceived in the womb is a pure soul or a devotee of Krishna. And that way, what happens once the child is conceived, everything Mataji is eating, who's pregnant, the lady is eating, it's all prasad because they're devotees. They're offering everything and honoring all that prasad. They're she's chanting, listening to bhajans, listening to kirtan. Just think about the child who is getting raised in the womb. Already is given such an advantageous. We see all the time in a temple, little kids who are being born, such advantageous position they're getting. Such a wonderful birth. And when the baby is born, Prabhupada says that baby is nothing but prasad, full of prasad. He's been hearing, he's been nourished from all that prasad that the mother has been eating, only prasad. So such a birth is really, really very rare. Why is such birth praised? Because the child receives spiritual impetus from the very beginning of his life, especially the case of Acharya or Goswami families. Such families are very learned and devoted by tradition and training, and thus they become spiritual masters. In India, there are many such Acharya families, but they have now degenerated due to insufficient education and training. So some families present now are very fortunate to take such birth. Fortunately, both our spiritual master and our humble self, Prabhupada, beautifully, so humbly, he's talking about himself and his spiritual master, that we had the opportunity to take birth in such families by the grace of Lord. And both of us were trained in the devotional service of the Lord from the very beginning of our lives. Later on, we met by the order of Transcendental System. So both Prabhupada and the purport is giving his own example and his Guru Maharaj's example. Now we have to note that Prabhupada is not saying that I or my Guru are deviated yogis from past life. Neither that due to their past spiritual practices, they're born in devotee families. There can be other reasons. Krishna himself sends his associates in this world to bring the other, fallen souls back to him. So that is, so here Prabhupada is not saying I'm a fallen yogi from past life, but he's just presenting how he was born in a family of transcendentalists. When his disciples speculated about his Swarup, they used to ask Prabhupada, what is your Swarup if you've come from the spiritual world? Then he used to discourage them and one time he did say that if I tell you, you will faint. But he's emphasizing that the important point is, are we making spiritual progress? Whichever family that we are born in, what is our progress in spiritual life? And that is seen in our commitment to practice, in our depth of understanding, in our purity of heart. These are very important. I'll also bring in another point here. Because we're studying Bhagavad Gita seriously, every class we're understanding how chanting is so important. Prabhupada is stressing upon that. We have to get the certificate in the end. After giving all these tests, we have to come up to chanting 16 rounds in the end, without which the certificate of Bhakti Shastri will not be given. Again, this I just got to know from my from the other devotee who has been teaching Bhakti Shastri. So very important. We can slowly raise our rounds. It's not difficult. If you're doing 3, 4, or 5, 6 every day, by the time we do the second book, you should come up to 8, 9, 10 rounds. Slowly, it's gradual. It's going to take 1.5 hours for the whole course to finish. So by the end of 1.5 hours, it will be really nice if every one of us are up to 16 malas every day. Only then will they give the certificate. This is a requirement from the ISKCON education system. So I'm just reiterating that. Many of you are already chanting, many of you are already so advanced in bhakti, and you've been, initiated long back. So not about you. For others who are not yet chanting 16, it is for them. After describing the glorious new birth of those people who in their previous lives either practiced little spiritual life or a lot, what happens to them after they take their new birth? So either they did little practice, went to heaven, came back in a Shuchinam and Srimatam family, or they practiced for a long time and they went to heavens and they came back and they're born in a transcendentalist family. So any one of those, what happens to them after they take their new birth? Krishna says, Tatratam buddhi samyogam labate purvadehikam yatate chatato bhuya samsiddho kurunandana. On taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life, and he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success, O son of Guru. So after taking such a birth, he revives the previous consciousness of previous life, he again tries to make further progress. And we see from the pastime of Bharat Maharaj, right, how he was deviated from his path of yoga. He left everything at home. He came to the forest where he saves this baby deer, then gets attached to the deer, then in his next life gets the body of the deer. And while leaving the body, what happens? Yeah, he's thinking of the deer, then he gets a body of a deer. Next life, he is given a chance again, and he's born in a Brahman family of Brahmanas as Jad Bharat. And then he instructs King Rahugana and later attains perfection. Right? We all know this pastime. Let's keep going. So here it explains how King Bharat took his third birth in the family of good Brahmana. Previous birth at an early age, retired from spiritual perfection but failed to achieve success. So he gets the birth of Jad Bharat, didn't talk to anyone and remained secluded. Later on, he was discovered as greatest transcendentalist by King Rahugana. This shows that repeated opportunities are given for transcendental perfection in Krishna consciousness. So although Bharat Maharaj got the body of a deer, but still that deer remembered his past life. Krishna gave that remembrance. So the deer, although in a body of an animal, used to stay aloof from other animals, used to stay near the place where there were devotees talking about, having Krishna Katha. He was near, so he could keep listening. And he was, I've heard that in his, animals such as a deer will eat grass, but he was so detached, he would just eat whatever little dry grass is around the deer, didn't go out looking for, fresh grass. Was always so detached and always wanted to hear more about Krishna and stay connected with the devotees, because as Bharat Maharaj, he was alone, away from the association of devotees. But in the body of the deer, because of past remembrance, the soul realized that being near devotees is so important, otherwise I will get deviated. That's why it stayed near where Katha was always going on, Krishna. And then got the body of Jad Bharat in his next life, where he achieved perfection. So where is our spiritual advancement stored? Like we do karma, that karma is stored somewhere, right? So where is the spiritual advancement stored? So it is, Krishna says, Buddhi Samyogam, it's a revival of consciousness. The attraction that we develop for Krishna on the devotional path is the revival of original propensity of the soul. And when the soul goes to the next body, that reactivated spiritual attraction also goes from one life to another. So it is there deep within the soul. As the subtle body becomes purified more and more, one further gets spiritual advance, the perfection. So our spiritual credits, like our karmic credits, are not stored in any physical form or physical body. Rather, they're stored deep within, and one labhate gains Porva Dehi come from previous body by revival. And then one starts endeavoring once again. So if we talk about karmic credits, which are stored and in the body or subtle body, how is that? Because in this birth, if we talk about karma, we do good karma and we are very charitable and we are very nice to other people. Next birth that we might get will be in a family where, again, there is some wealth, we are comfortable, and we are, people get beautiful bodies. Like that, you can see that they've done some past good karma. That's why they have wealth here and beauty here, fame here, because of their past karma. But how do we know that that person has spiritual credits from past life? Because how they have revived their spiritual consciousness and how they've started progressing on the path of spiritual life. That's how we know that in their past they must have done some, they must have attained sukriti, which is spiritual credits. So Krishna will give opportunity for that revival, but the soul has to personally choose to start that practice. So going to heaven, come back on earth, battle against temptations, endeavor for perfection again. So thereafter, such a person endeavors for what? Yatate cha tato bhuya samsiddho kurunandana, for attaining perfection. O Kurunandan, you are in the family of, right, Kurus. You have attained Krishna by saying this. You have attained such a pious birth where you have wealth and the family is pious. There are also transcendentalists in your family, your own mother, Kunti, right? So all of this, Krishna, by saying Nandana, he's reminding him of his own pious birth, Arjun's. And this is a beautiful video, just a minute, of how a small child is reviving. You can see how he is from the past life, a wonderful devotee, but hasn't gained perfection. Or, I mean, we cannot judge. Maybe Krishna has sent him from the spiritual world so that he can, like Prabhupada, he can take other souls back to Godhead. Let's watch this. And this is Hari Parshad Prabhu, if you know him, his son. And his name is Hari. So now he's grown up. This is from when he was small.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Beautiful, right? How we understand how these souls are so special. Okay, now Krishna further explains Purva Bhyasena Taineva Hriyate Hi Avashopi Saha Jignasurapi Yogasya Shabda Brahmati Vartate. By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles, even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. So now Krishna is again bringing the point where we have to go beyond the scriptures. Which verse? From second chapter,
45.
And what was the verse?
Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna Nirdvandvo Nityasattvasto Niryogakshema Atmavan.
Amazing. So nice. Yes. So you have to go beyond the Vedas. Here also, Krishna says he's always standing, he's already gone beyond the Vedas, right? That such an inquisitive transcendentalist stand always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. So Purvabhyasena, he had enormous spiritual advancement which had come from his previous lives, spiritual practice. Hriyate hi avashopisa, he's attracted automatically. Jignasurapi yogasya, yogi is who is inquisitive. Shabda Brahma, ritualistic principle of scriptures. Ati vartate, he has moved beyond, or he has transcended. When one has practiced spiritual life before, then automatically one is seeking a deeper, greater, richer fulfillment. And if someone is chanting the holy names of Krishna, it should be understood that it is the greatest fortune. This is again importance and the how when one person is chanting the names of Krishna, we should understand he's already done all of this before. What all? How glorious are they whose tongue are chanting your holy name. Even if born in the families of dog eaters, such persons are worshipable. Persons who chant the holy names of your lordship must have executed all kinds of austerities, fire sacrifices, achieved all good manners of the Aryans. To be chanting the holy names of your lordship, they must have bathed at holy places of pilgrimage, studied the Vedas, and fulfilled everything required. Beautiful verse. If you're one of those devotees who love memorizing, this is one of them. Aho bata swapachoto gariyan yajjivagre vartate nama tubhyam. The tip of the tongue, when the name tubhyam, your name comes, it is understood that te pustapaste juhur shushnu arya brahmanachur nama grananti. They've already done all this in their past lives. All the pious activities, bathing in holy places, they've gone beyond Vedas. If your name is coming on the tip, even on the tip of their tongue. So you can see many people, please chant. I can't do it. Somehow I can't do it because the Sukriti is not so strong. But Prabhupada is so kind. He's bringing his association through the books he's translated. Once we're reading this again and again, we are so fortunate. We come in contact with devotees and we understand the priority we have to give for chanting. Even if we don't have that Sukriti, by getting association, we get the mercy of Krishna and we start chanting our rounds. This is the importance of chanting Krishna's names. Vedic Dharma has Karma Marg, Gyan Marg, Yoga Marg, and Bhakti Marg. Only after they've performed their karma successfully, they've come to the Bhakti Marg. So being a devotee is so rare, even amongst transcendentalists, amongst yogis, and Krishna will tell us that in the culmination of this chapter, how that yogi is perfect. Okay, let's keep going. Once in Bhakti Marg, they've already transcended by inference the karma, jnana, and yoga marg. Such just as a person who has $100 bill, he automatically has bills of 1, 5, 10, and 20. So if we're in Bhakti Yoga, we've already achieved perfection of Gyan Marg, Karma Marg, Gyan Marg, Ashtanga Marg. That's why we are in Bhakti Yoga. Anyone chanting the holy names of Krishna is a very special soul, worthy of our honor and respect. If we have clashes with other devotees in our temple, we should understand this point. Prabhupada says they are so blessed that they're chanting Krishna's names. And how are they chanting? Because of their past, going beyond Vedas and all of that they've done already. And such a birth is so rare. At least they're chanting Krishna's names. They are beyond all of that. Think about the population on Earth and other planets. These species, very rare species of bhakti yogis, if we have clashes with them, where will we go? Right? So if in case because when we come to temple, we do meet other devotees and engage, in association with them, there might be certain ups and downs in relationships, which is normal, right? Everybody is not at the same level of consciousness. Some people are up, some people are down. So we have to honor and respect them. And be gracious, right? We have to be so grateful. We have association of devotees who are also on the same path and chanting. Now, Krishna will explain how the yogi will eventually attain perfection. 3 more verses, we're going to go faster. Prayatnadyatamaanastu yogi sammudha shuddha kilbhisha aneka janma samsiddhas tato yati paramam gatim. When yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed of all contaminations, then ultimately achieving perfection after many, many births of practice, he attains supreme goal. Okay. For serious spiritual sadhakas, life is a part of their religion and not vice versa. Some people say, yes, they're going through their work and taking care of children, taking care of their parents, all of those things. And yes, bhakti is a part of my life. But if we are serious, then bhakti is not part of my life. Rather, life is part of my bhakti. Bhakti is the main thing. Conclusion of this section is it's sobering and it is illuminating. It is a serious practice. There are chances of deviation, and Krishna says it may take many lifetimes. Krishna in this verse is saying what? Aneka janma samsiddhas. You might take many births to achieve success. And so it's sobering for us. It is also illuminating, since one understands that one is never lost when one practices spiritual life. Temporary deviation may come, but spiritual advancement is never lost, and one will regain, revive, reclaim it as soon as our inclination are activated again. Spiritual inclination is activated again. So if Prabhupada used to say, if you've left off in your previous birth at 51%, next birth you will start from 52%. Not 50, 52, because you've done 51% spiritual progress. Now you advance starting from 52%. So we start from where we left off in our previous life. What makes anything so auspicious is our will. This particular line is from the lecture that I just heard from my Guru Maharaj on the day of initiation, which is on Thursday, 2 days back. Maharaj said, what makes anything auspicious is our will. So our will, there might be contamination in our mind. There might be wanting to enjoy this and this in this birth. But because our will is strong, our will or our determination is strong. Determination can accelerate one's struggle and practice, that no matter what price it takes for attaining Krishna, anything and everything is worth it. And because that attainment is so glorious, so fulfilling, that there is nothing like it, and it'll be forever and ever be with me. So that's how we can remain serious and steady, even if there are anarthas, even if there might be, lower tendencies, we keep our determination and will strong to progress. What makes anything auspicious is our will. With that attitude, one makes rapid advancement, and one doesn't have to take aneka janma. By the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is possible in one lifetime. We just have to be sincere and serious. Okay, let's keep going. Conclusion of this chapter in the next two verses, last two verses of this chapter, 46. Tapasvibhyo diko yogi jnanibhyo pimato dikaha karmibhyas chadiko yogi tasmad yogi bhavarjuna. Emphatically, Krishna is telling Arjuna, Tasma, therefore, yogi bhava Arjuna, become a yogi or be a yogi. And what is he saying? Let's look at it. A yogi, the translation is, a yogi is greater than the ascetic. Ascetic is Ashtanga yogi, right? Greater than the empiricist or the Jnana yogi. A yogi is greater than person who's following Ashtanga, ascetic, not Ashtanga yogi, ascetic. A yogi is greater than empiricist, or a yogi is greater than jnani, and a yogi is greater than karmi, fruitive worker. Therefore, O Arjuna, in all circumstances, be a yogi. So he's emphatically telling him, be a yogi. Prabhupada says in the purport, what is yoga? It's connection with the absolute truth. So we shouldn't forget that aspect in whatever we're doing. So in Karma Yoga, what does the person do? He's doing his fruitive activities for the karmi. But if a karmi does his activities without Krishna consciousness in mind, it is a waste of time, Prabhupada says. For a jnani, if he's engaging in jnana or getting more and more knowledge, it is imperfect without surrender to Supreme Personality of Godhead. If a person is doing tapasya or asceticism, it is imperfect without self-knowledge that I am a part of Krishna. If that knowledge is not there, that tapasya is imperfect. And then in bhakti yoga, ultimate perfection, nothing can excel it. It is full spiritual knowledge. Having a connection with the absolute truth, which is yoga, connection with the absolute truth through whichever path one may be following, having that connection is more important than, for here in this slide, we're talking about karma. Without Krishna consciousness, karma is a waste of time. And what we've taken is from the Bhagavatam, and this is from the purport. Prabhupada is bringing all these points. Dharma, Swanish, this verse from the Bhagavatam, I'm not going to recite the whole verse, but what it means is the occupational activities of a man. Occupational activities a man performs according to his own position, which is karmi, right? A karmi person, are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the personality of Godhead. So it is a waste of time if a person is only doing his karma, going about taking care of his family so nicely, even if he attains perfection in taking care of his family really nicely, perfectly. Krishna says it is a waste of time because there is nothing spiritual in it. That's why there's no connection with Krishna in it. Having a connection with the absolute truth, which is yoga, through whichever process. Now again, this is jnana. Just cultivating knowledge or jnana, it is imperfect without surrender to Krishna. Empirical knowledge without surrender to Krishna is imperfect. And then through Ashtanga, it is imperfect without self-knowledge. And the example is given from the Mukundamala Stotra, 21st verse, and number 2, which is when fasting becomes a mere fat-reducing exercise. If there is no connection with the spiritual and you're doing tapasya, fasting, then what it is regular observance of severe vows enjoined in the Vedas is no more than a way to lose weight. Nothing beyond that. Having a connection with the absolute truth through yoga, through bhakti yoga, it is ultimate perfection because this gives full spiritual knowledge. So Nishkama Karma Yogi develops detachment from matter. So just by doing karma, there is no detachment that will come. But Nishkama Karma Yogi, once following the process of Karma Yoga, develops detachment. Jnana Yogi realizes the soul. Ashtanga Yogi meditates on the supreme or the super soul or Shira Lakshya Vishnu, and Bhakti Yogi loves Bhagwan. That's how it's a complete process. And then next beautiful verse, which we'll also try to memorize. Highest of all yogis, or the topmost yogi, Krishna has been talking about a yogi. This is a chapter on Ashtanga Yoga. Let's look at what Krishna says, and let's all recite it. Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yo mam same yukta tamo mataha. So somebody read the translation.
And of all yogis, the one with great faith, who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yoginam api sarvesham, Krishna says, of all the yogis, yoginam, amongst all the yogis, api sarvesham, all, sarvesham is all. So amongst all kind of yoginam, all kind of yogis, mat katena antaratmana, one who thinks about me or makes him gati. Gatenantar is makes me his gati or his destination or his goal within himself. Gatenantar makes me his goal within himself. Atmana. Shraddhavan bhajate yo man. One who worships me with faith. Shraddha. Bhajate is bhaj is worships me. Surrenders it to me. Yo mam. Same yukta tamo mata. Such a person is intimately united with me, Krishna says. He's the one who's united with me. So, yoginam of all yogis, sarvesham, all types of yogis, mat gatena, which is abiding in me within himself. Of all yogis, one who abides, lives in me, in harmony with me. By thinking of Krishna, we live in Krishna. What does it mean? He lives in me, or I live in him, because I'm always thinking of Krishna, or Krishna is always thinking of me. This also he's spoken before. Shraddhavan, in full faith. What is that faith? That the Lord who I'm conceiving in my heart is the ultimate truth. And bhajate is rendering service, loving devotional service. He's the object of my service, worship, surrender, and devotion. And to me. So bhaja is to worship or to serve. He's the greatest yogi. Yuktatama is considered by me, mata. He's considered with faith. So one worships me and engages in transcendental service unto me. So Krishna says, Yukta Tama. Yukta is good, connected, and more connected is Yukta Tara, and perfectly connected is Yukta Tama. So good, better, best in English. In Sanskrit is Yukta, Yukta Tara, Yukta Tama. And Prabhupada talks about how we start from the top, the downmost, which is Karma Kand. If you take a building, right? The building has many floors. Let's look at this building has 4 floors. And you want to go to the topmost floor. There is a basement also, which is Karma Kand, which is nowhere in the, when you start your spiritual life and you go beyond Karma Kand, where we come to Karma Yoga, is the first floor. And there are steps going up. Now, if you see in this picture, there's not one staircase which the same stairs are leading to the top floor. There are different stairs in each floor. So a person might start from Karma Kand, go to Karma Yoga, but beyond that doesn't go, stays in that floor. That's Karma Yoga. But he can also go up and take the other stair, go up to Jnana Yoga, take the other stairs and go up to Dhyana Yoga. From there, maybe just stay there, or can go up to Bhakti Yoga, which is the ultimate or the best. And again, Prabhupada says there is a lift. Prabhupada provides a lift that we can straight from the basement go up to the top floor. So yoga process, progression from Karma Yoga to Bhakti Yoga. When Karma Yoga increases in knowledge and renunciation, one gets to Jnana Yoga. When Jnana Yoga increases in meditation on the super soul by different physical processes, it is Ashtanga Yoga. When one surpasses the Ashtanga Yoga and comes to Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is Bhakti Yoga. To analyze Bhakti Yoga minutely, one has to understand these other yogas. The yogi who is progressive is therefore on the path, true path of eternal good fortune. One who sticks to a particular point and does not make further progress is called by that particular name. So here, Karma Yogi or Jnana Yogi, Dhyana Yogi. He sticks to it and doesn't progress. So Krishna says he is topmost, who has great faith in me, takes shelter in me, always abides in me, always thinks of me, renders transcendental loving service unto me. Because Krishna, we understand he's the worthy master. So again, it starts from Karma Yoga after Karma Kand without fruitive results. Nishkama Karma Yoga plus knowledge of renunciation is Jnana. You can look at this later. We just discussed it. Prabhupada has spoken about it in the purport. So here is the yoga, which is connection. Karma Yoga is connection through action. Jnana Yoga is connection with the Supreme through intelligence. Dhyana Yoga is connection with the Supreme through mind, and Bhakti Yoga is connection through the heart. Karma Yoga depends on Bhakti for perfection. Jnana Yoga also depends on Bhakti for perfection. Dhyana Yoga also depends on Bhakti for perfection. And Bhakti Yoga in itself is the supremost. Karma Yoga purifies the heart. Jnana Yoga awakens the knowledge about soul and God. And Dhyana Yoga clearly shows that God is Vishnu within the heart. And Bhakti Yoga is the best way to control the mind and senses from the beginning itself. And it's a one-stroke method, path of love and devotion. So we'll come back to Karma Yoga. It's a path of action. Jnana Yoga is path of knowledge. Dhyana Yoga is path of focus. And Bhakti Yoga is path of love and devotion. Karma Yoga is a lengthy process. Jnana Yoga also is a lengthy process. Dhyana Yoga also is a lengthy process. And Bhakti Yoga is a quick elevation straight to Golok Vrindavan. It's a descending process. So Karma Yoga is ascending process. Ascending meaning we start from Karma Kand and then we come to Karma Yoga where we, with knowledge, we attain detachment, keep doing our action, offering them to Krishna. And now offering them to the Supreme, we still don't know who's the Supreme. Then we come in contact with some Gyanis and we try to attain knowledge, right? So it is ascending. Karma Yoga within itself will not lead to perfection without the element of bhakti in it. So that's why it's ascending process. Why is, and all of them are ascending processes. Why is Bhakti Yoga descending? Because in Bhakti Yoga, we're not depending on other processes. We are depending on Krishna's grace. So it is a descending process. We get the mercy of other devotees and of Krishna. Brings out, Karma Yoga brings out, one out from exploiting. So with detachment, one understands I'm not the one who's the enjoyer, and he brings him out of exploiting. Can bring one to the consciousness of becoming an escapist, that this is not a world for me to enjoy, and they escape the world. They just don't want anything to do with the world. That might happen to a Jnana Yogi if he doesn't come in contact with a Bhakti Yogi. And what about Dhyana Yogi? It's a lengthy process. He might get stuck there. He might just understand that super soul is the ultimate. And then when he quits his body, instead of going to Golok Vrindavan, he will go to any other planet that he wanted to go to. So also, it is not perfect in itself. When Ashtanga Yogi comes in contact with the Bhakti Yogi, then only he can attain perfection. Understanding that super soul is an expansion of Krishna, who's the ultimate, who's the supreme. So Bhakti Yoga, which is the heart, includes within itself action, which is Karma Yoga, which we do with our body, introspection, which is Jnana Yoga with our intelligence, and meditation with our mind, which is Ashtanga Yoga. So for the body, intelligence, and mind, they all follow the heart, which is Bhakti Yoga. Love and devotion. Since in Bhakti Yoga, it activates the heart, we connect our heart with Krishna, and that's why it is the topmost of all yogas. So yoga actually means Bhakti Yoga. All other yogas are progressions towards destination of Bhakti Yoga. From the beginning of Karma Yoga to the end of Bhakti Yoga is a long way to self-realization. So when we start from Karma Yoga, if you want to go the lengthy way, or go through the stairs from one floor to another, Prabhupada says it's a lengthy process. So just come to Bhakti Yoga, take the elevator and come there, and you can advance from there. So in this verse, Krishna has used the word mad so many times. So he's emphatically using mam. Yoginam api sarvesham mam mad katena antaratmana, me, keeping me within his heart. Shraddhavan bhajate yo mam. He's not saying this yogi is thinking of that light or that super soul within him. He's saying mam. He's standing there in front of Arjun. When he says mam, he says me, him, right? Krishna is, and then sa me yukta tamumata. That yogi is intimately united with me in yoga. So from 7th chapter, we just finished 6 chapters. From the 7th chapter onwards, the focus will be on mam more and more. Remember, the middle 6 chapters, 6, 7 to 12 are on Bhakti Yoga itself. So this mam, Krishna has brought in the last verse of the 6th chapter. The first 6 chapters are on Karma Yoga. And he's bringing mam to tell us how that is going to be the focus now from the 7th chapter. So a new mood has developed in the Bhakti Yoga, in the Bhagavad Gita. It's not just that be renunciation, and it'll not be just renunciation in action, it'll be devotion in action. Till now, there was disconnection, detachment, and rejection. From 7th chapter onwards, there'll be devotion, attachment, and connection. That yes, I'm not connected with the world, but I want to be connected with Krishna. So it's a beautiful transition from the 6th chapter to the 7th chapter, which we'll start in our next class. So let's just recap. Arjuna put the spotlight on the body, right? I cannot kill all my relatives who are standing in front of me. So the spotlight was on the body. Krishna moves the spotlight from the body to the soul in the 2nd chapter. Then how can the soul be liberated? The spotlight was on Nishkama Karma Yoga. Then Krishna moves the spotlight from Atma to Paramatma in the 6th chapter. And then now Paramatma is revealed to be Krishna himself. The spotlight is on Krishna himself. See the beautiful cycle from the spotlight on body. We've come to the spotlight being on Krishna himself. So let's see. The first six chapters are setting the scene for the heart of the Bhagavad Gita, which is the 7th to the 12th chapters. Now, which verse was it that Krishna said that I am the super soul? In the 6th chapter, he says,